Okay, can I start?
You can start now.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Carolina Parra Peña. I'm from Bogota, and I am in the English conversation course. I am member of the second group. Today, I'm going to talk about the total physical response. The total physical response was developed by the Dr. James J. Asher on 1977. He was a psychology professor at the San Jose State University. He developed the total physical response as a result of observing young children learning their first language. And he noticed that the children interact with their parents, uh, taking into account the following order. First of all, he could notice that the parents' speech produced or could be answered by the children with a physical response. When we talk about the physical response, we are talking about the body movement or the body language. The total physical response is a language teaching method that allows the coordination of the speech and also the action of the children. It attempts to teach language through physical activity. So the total physical response is, as the name says, is all that we can do with our body language, the movement that children can use for learning language. The total physical response is for work on the foreign language. This is the main point of the total physical response. This method has some principles that are listening ability and vocabulary. Why this part is first? Because the main idea of the total physical response is to work or to teach to the children how to understand the listening commands. Sorry, the commands that the teacher or their parents can give them, and they are going to be able to understand them and answer to that command. The second principle is there must not be any stress. The idea in the total physical response is that the teacher make a very beautiful and a very peaceful environment for the children learning and obviously their process. And the third principle is the regular repetition. Why is it very important for the total physical response? This is very important because children need to repeat the words. Children need to repeat to repeat the pronunciation and also the body movement for learning. Um, for have a meaningful learning in their foreign language. The principal roles are obviously the teacher, or in this case we can talk about an adult, and the student role. The teacher's role is that the teacher has to be active and direct. So if the teacher wants to teach, I don't know, for example, verbs, the idea is that the teacher use only verbs for expressing or for the commands that he or she needs to teach to the children about the foreign language. So if the teacher says stand up, everybody in the classroom have to stand up. Yes, the idea is to be very direct. The teacher is not going to use a lot of words only for say stand up. Yes, the teacher should allow speaking abilities to develop in natural pace. This part is very linked with the out stress part because when children learn in a natural way, it is very meaningful for them. They can remember the knowledges for minutes, for hours, also for years. So for that reason, it's very important that this technique has zero stress for the students, obviously. The students in this case are listeners and performers. Why? Because they listen and they act. They answer this comment or this word that the adult is telling them. And they respond physically to commands given by the teacher. They use the body movement to answer. The advantages of the total physical response are it is very fun because like we use the total physical response with children, they really like to play and they really like to enjoy the activities that they are doing. So it is very fun for them. It is very easy to implement because, for example, with the kids, we can use this technique like a game. So it's very easy to implement in the classroom. And it is also good kinesthetic who need to be active in the class. Like we know, there are a lot of kinds of learning styles, and the kinesthetic is one of the most interesting and the most important um, kind of learning because they need the environment for learning, yes, and they need to move their body um, to 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 interact with other people for the learning process. And also, the total physical response can be used in large and small classes. It doesn't matter if I have only 2, 3, 4 students, I can implement that. Or if I have, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 students, I can implement it too. Some disadvantages of the total physical response is that it is only for young teenagers and children. Why? Because the total physical response allows to work the foreign language. An adult, we suppose that an adult know about his or her foreign language. So for that reason, it is only for young teenagers and children. And it is focused on listening, comprehension, and speaking. With this method, we are not working the writing, we are not working the reading, we are only focusing our mind and our body with listening comprehension and also with speaking where the children have to repeat. And it needs to be repetitive. It could be an advantage and also a disadvantage because, as I was telling before, the children need to repeat some activities or some words for learning better. So it could be positive in one part, but in the other hand, it could be a disadvantage because not all children think or have the same behavior. Yes, so for that reason, it could be a disadvantage too. Um,
All right. Thank
Finally,
you very much, Caroline, for your presentation. This is the end of your time limit. Now it's going to move forward to the question section. In that case, I would like to start by asking you, have you ever used TPR in any class? How was your experience, if so?
yes, I have used. I work as a teacher with second grade students, and this year I am working with kindergarten students too. And the total physical response is very important here because they are they are like babies for me, and they need to move their body because, for example, in online classes they cannot be sit down all the time. So the total physical response is very interesting for teaching English in my case because I can work listening, I can work speaking, pronunciation, and also the students are moving their body and they are not going to be bored at the class.
All right, thank you. Let's listen from the others. What questions you had for Caroline?
Teacher, I have a question for Caroline. Caroline, why did you choose the physical response for the development of task 6?
Okay, I chose the total physical response because I think it is a very interesting method that all teachers should implement in their classes. Because a good class is not to write in the notebook only or only repeat and watch videos. So for that reason, I really like the total physical response and I want to share it with you.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome.
Okay, Caroline, I have a question for you. Do you think parents played an important role in developing children's learning skills?
Yes, they have one of the most important roles because it doesn't have sense if the teacher at the class use any method, not only the total physical response, but at home the students uh, cannot repeat or cannot practice it. So I think that teachers play a very meaningful role in the learning process with any technique or any method that they use for the learning.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Carolina, Dora Vargas, I have a question for you. Do you consider that this strategy can be implemented with, for example, ninth grade students who don't have a good foundation in English?
I think yes. The main idea of the total physical response is for work the foreign language with children. But in my experience, I think that we could implement the total physical response with teenagers or maybe with adults when we are teaching another language, in this case, for example, the English.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Leslie, Daniela, do you have a question for Caroline? A question? All right, so let's going to finish this section. I will provide you with some feedback according to your presentation. First of all, I would like to mention language use, which was actually very varied on this presentation. There are some recommendations that I would like to tell you regarding the use of prepositions of time. Check prepositions of time. Also, the pronunciation of the word language. Also, you need to check on verb plus prepositions. This is something we call collocations in English. For example, there are some verbs in English that don't necessarily need the use of a preposition. For example, answer to can sound redundant. Teach to can sound redundant. So try to avoid the use of prepositions in some cases with some specific verbs. Your presentation management was generally good. You just need to work a little bit more on time management because within the 8 minute time framework, you can like go over all your content. So there is a little more preparation on the time management. And lastly, the answer sufficiency was good. You could answer coherently, precisely all the questions by the tutor and by your classmates. So thank you very much, Caroline, and this is the end of your feedback.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for your attention.